And so the call is that Trump is putting loyalists in and disruptors versus his previous administration where he was coming to Washington unprepared, surprised he won, and he trusted a lot of people and he hired a lot of insiders and he had to fire a lot of them and then still struggled a lot of, still had a successful administration. Is that the way you're seeing this? Is it that simple, or is there a little bit more of a nuance going on here? And is it really candidate by candidate? Like you said, Rubio, maybe less so of that loyalist disruptor and a little bit more of that Washington person. But is that what Trump is doing? He's also moving fast. And is that another signal to Washington about what's coming? I'm just curious what you see in some of these picks overall.
I think it's the latter of what you said. I think it's case by case. I mean, obviously, there have been a string of people that I think it's fair to describe as loyalists between Bobby Kennedy and Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth and Tulsi. Although we have not seen, what Tulsi will do with power. The fact is, Jeff Sessions also was seen as a loyalist. And then as soon as the heat was applied around Russiagate, he recused himself, basically allowed basically gave a Justice Department green light to what would become the single biggest attack dog of the blob that obstructed, frankly, all of Trump 1.0 up until year 4. I mean, it wasn't until July 2019 that Russiagate collapsed, and that was only because after 2.5 years of investigations, hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees racked up by all Trump insiders and the White House. I think that there were probably several foreign policy decisions that were only made by the Trump, inner hive mind as an accommodation to the pressure generated by Russiagate. I think everyone saw Jeff Sessions as a loyalist moment one. And by the way, I'm not making an opinion on Jeff Sessions. He seems to me like a fine guy. I don't know him personally, but the fact is I think there was at least the perception that he was simply untested, even though he seemed like a loyalist at the time, once handed power. That was not how power was wielded. I think there's an open question around many of the folks here. It's a different thing when you're on the outside spectating the game than when you're in the fight taking the hits. And every single one of these cabinet members are going to be taking hits. They're going to be taking hits from strange southpaw angles they've never seen before, and you can't train for. They're going to be taken at the legal level. They're going to be taken at the media level. They are going to be surrounded by careers inside the agencies who are going to be poking them with pointy spears. Every little thing they do is going to be tightly monitored. Every secretary in every one of these offices is going to be looking for whether or not they put the thing in the burn box if it was classified, or, if, any number of ethics probes. And, there's so many tripwires. It's, you don't really know it until you're in it. And so there is that. But again, when Trump went on Joe Rogan, I think the secretary position he talked about most vividly was the Secretary of State position. How many people were lobbying him to be Secretary of State? How significant that post was in terms of projecting American power abroad? Well, one of these things is not like the other. Marco Rubio is no Trump loyalist. Marco Rubio was working 6 months ago with the Hillary Clinton network to Trump-proof the incoming administration. And now he's been handed the keys to the kingdom for all of U.S. foreign policy and, frankly, half of U.S. domestic policy in terms of the nastiness of the State Department to boomerang back on Americans the work that it funds of foreign NGOs. So I don't know what the political calculus there was. Again, I'm not trying to jinx it. I want to give Secretary Rubio the chance to prove that he's really going to fight for a free speech agenda. But Marco Rubio just 5 months ago won the annual award from the IRI, the International Republican Institute, the CIA wing of the GOP, which is one of the most pernicious actors in the entire censorship industry. Again, that same organization which lobbied the EU for the Digital Services Act and which lobbied Brazil, its internal parliament, its prosecutors, and its censorship court, the TSE, in order to round up and arrest the Trump of the tropics, Bolsonaro, as well as millions of his supporters. And they're giving Marco Rubio the Man of the Year award just 5 months ago. So, probably the most significant post in the administration is someone who's going to have to either leave a knife in the back of the donors and stakeholders who have made his entire political career, or the knife is going to go in the back of the incoming administration when they're not looking. So Rubio is between a blob and a hard place.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.